My dad was a police officer, and I think that instilled a very high level of integrity and probity and doing the right thing, which is a great connection with the values of police health. In terms of the health aspect of my background, my grandmother was a nurse. She was an enrolled nurse in a country hospital. Probably my nan was my inspiration. She was the only one in my family on either side that was from a health background. At 17, I was working on a ward and caring for 6 patients, and they could have anything from have had a stroke to having an amputation to whatever it may be. And it's a lot for a 17-year-old to deal with. I actually had to sadly lay out my first body when I was 17 and a half. And I remember I was very fortunate to be paired with a very senior nurse, and she was chatting to the deceased patient throughout the process. And I'd said to her afterwards, I said, oh, that was a bit weird because I wasn't quite sure why you were asking them questions. And her response to me was that however you choose to look at it, there was someone there, and they could be there in any way, shape or form, and that they were still a person. They may not be alive anymore, and they still had a history. And it was more about being respectful for that situation you were in as opposed to talking about what you did last night. I think that person set me on a very strong path around ethic. I dealt in the adult world for quite a while where death, whilst it's difficult, it's also not unexpected on a lot of occasions. Policing and emergency services often are involved in similar situations. They also have that same sense of care for one another and that sense of community. So understanding the value proposition of what's worked so well for police health and understanding the products that have worked so well and that we've been able to tailor, it's using that same knowledge and applying that in a new market for us. What we've been able to do over time is develop products that actually are of relevance to the community. That's recognising there's a need to enhance the product offering around mental well-being that may not be as big an issue in another industry such as accountants. I'm not saying accountants don't have stressful jobs, but they don't have to be the first responder on an accident or site where they're fairly traumatic events. I'm a fundamental believer in the public health system. There should be some form of safety net for people to be able to access public health system for those that can't afford or don't have the opportunity to purchase private health insurance, for example. I don't believe someone who is in a public hospital versus in a private hospital gets any different standard of desire from people to want to provide the best possible care. The big difference for me around private health insurance is that you have choice and you have the ability to choose on so many different levels, and isn't the case for public health and public hospital system. I felt like I've been shaped to end up here in that I've had a background as the son of a police officer and I've spent my career working in health. So I kind of understood and do understand both sides of those equations. So to be in a position to lead an organisation where we have an established reputation in the policing community, but also to grow in the emergency services community, seems like it was a little bit destined, but that sounds trite, but that's what it sort of feels a bit like.